here, but again, it came onshore with winds of 90 miles per hour, a central pressure, incredibly low, record-setting low pressure, actually, out across portions of the lower end of New Jersey, Atlantic City, 28.01 when this thing came inland. So the advisory now lifted further to the north. We'll see gusts around 30 to 40 miles an hour at times. We're seeing some of that already. Right now in the park, not too bad at 24 miles per hour, but notice Newark still gusting at 40. JFK close to that at 39 miles per hour. Out across the island, Islip, still 40 mile per hour winds. Not super damaging winds, certainly, but again, just a little insult to injury. Gradually, these winds ramp on down tonight, and a big difference by tomorrow. Some pictures coming our way. This is from Judy and Dyker Heights. You can see the water just splashing up against. This is right near the Bell Parkway, actually, just coming right over the railing. The waves were crashing. You know, all of the water, the big story with a storm like this, and it's just so ironic. You go from water to fire. We've seen that happen, too. This is caused by a cable that came down. You can see it sparking the flames here in the dry brush. This is from Andrew in Westwood, New Jersey. So we've seen some great pictures. Please keep sending them in from Storm Team or to Storm Team at NBCNewYork.com. And of course, when you make a picture or take a picture, make sure you're safe. We don't want you risking any harm or injury. Meantime, we've got more to tell you about the storm and what lies ahead. Better news, we hope, right, Murphy?
Definitely better news coming our way weather-wise, but a little cold coming our way as well. As you mentioned, on the other side of that storm, there is some cold air out there, but we're getting through right now what we hope is our last round of tidal flooding, but we still have coastal flooding to deal with, minor to moderate right now, but high tide occurring right now for the western Long Island Sound, so places like Stamford, Connecticut, Bridgeport, down towards the Bronx areas that saw that storm surge last night. We have another round of moderate flooding going on right now. This is high tide for you, and then the water will recede as we head throughout the rest of the afternoon. You can see coastal flood alerts in effect, and also the Jersey Shore. Minor coastal flooding expected there through the mid to late afternoon, with also a whole lot of leftover wave action pounding the shore. Tracking temperatures at this hour in the Hudson Valley, 52 in Montgomery. It's cool in Hopewell Junction with 53 degrees, and off to our west, a lot of cold air is sitting there. We're kind of stuck in the middle of the city, 52 degrees, and it's warmer as you head east, 60 degrees at this hour in Islip. Future tracker shows that we're sort of in and out of these showers as we head into the afternoon. Dry air begins to work in, though, so I think more of us are dealing with drier conditions, but still breezy, as Chris said. 6 p.m. looking pretty quiet there, and the winds really begin to subside overnight tonight. Midnight, a spotty shower, but that's really just about it, and then that trend continues. A few isolated showers possible on Wednesday, but overall the pattern is looking good. But so many folks without power, they will be feeling the chill tonight. Overnight low temperatures down into the 40s in White Plains. Newark down to 49 degrees. We're going to be flirting with 30s in places like Monticello, so northern Sullivan County into northwest New Jersey. It will be cold. You'll need lots of blankets there. People will need to keep warm as we head throughout the overnight hours. And as Chris said, we are several days, so as the chilly air works in, we'll keep you updated and tell you when it will be coldest. But again, right now it looks like the weekend, we have a bit of chilly air moving in, 30s, a probability to our northern western suburbs. Tom and Erica, over to you.
All right, Raphael, so still a rough ride ahead for many throughout the tri-state where temperatures are going to drop. They have no power. We hope they have a fireplace or some place to stay warm because they're going to need extra blankets tonight and tomorrow going into the week.
Yeah, a reminder, though, in terms of if you're trying to warm yourself, heat your house, any generators, make sure they're outside. Candles, be careful because always safety issues when the utilities are out. Yeah. Meantime, Raphael was talking about still a high tide in certain parts of our area, really more to the north. New Jersey, the coast of New Jersey, was just totally changed by the high tide overnight, and so they just saw another high tide. We want to check in with Brian Thompson, who's been in Seaside Heights for us. Brian, what did that tide look like where you are?
It looked like we were very lucky not to be swept away. I've talked with one man who was swept away and barely survived it. We'll have that report a little later this afternoon. I just finished an interview with him. But I can tell you right now that the devastation is unbelievable. Under these boards as the tide was coming in and just lifted this whole decking up. Lord only knows what's underneath that. I was talking to the police chief. He said just the boardwalk alone is probably an $8 million repair job. I mean, let's look at what happened here. We have some video of the casino pier, which actually seemed to suffer less damage than the Funtown pier. But when you see a roller coaster in the water, all of a sudden it becomes a water slide. That's not my idea of a ride that I want to pay a couple bucks to get on. And in fact, all of the rides that are left sustained major damage, but the pier itself took a lot of damage, and there's even less of the Funtown pier to show you right right now because it just isn't there. The two major piers here in Seaside Heights. So that's a problem. This kind of damage is in the millions and millions of dollars beyond the boardwalk. And I was just on the phone with the economic development director for Asbury Park, and he has grim news for me. For anybody who's been to Asbury Park, which has become so popular in the past few years, the boardwalk is virtually all gone. The storefronts that line the boardwalk are still there, but major damage to the inside. The Grand Auditorium in Ocean Grove, according to, is still there, as is the Wonder Bar, and as is the Convention Hall and the Paramount Theater, and as is the Carousel. They may or may not have had structural damage. They haven't gotten an engineer in there, but looking at them from what's left of the boardwalk, he tells me they still stand defiant against the ocean. So there is some glimmer of good news up and down this coast, but not a lot of it. Back to you two.
Brian, for folks who live along the Jersey Shore who did not evacuate, right now they have no power. They're unsure if they can even drink some of their water, according to the governor. Are there shelters in place? If they're watching us, whether it be on their iPhone or on their iPad or through some type of smartphone, what advice can you give them if they're getting worried right now because they have no power and they have no drinking water?
Well, if they can, the smartest thing to do is when you see a cop driving by, if you have a way to reach out to somebody who tried to brave it out, because nobody does have power, as you just said, Tom. The smartest thing to do is wave down a cop and say, "Can you get me off?" This is. I think that was the police chief here, Tommy Boyd, here in Seaside Heights. Picked two people out of a tree who lived near the back bay. And the police chief of Tom's River, Mike Masternardi, told me that his guys got 5 babies and their parents or caregivers last night. So they are looking for people, and I think that's the best advice as opposed to try it now. And then they'll tell them where the shelters are. I think that's really the best.